Hi guys, and welcome back to the Running Master. Today's video I want to show you 3 different recipes for how you can use oats to make some excellent food for runners. I've got a bunch of ingredients here behind me, so I'm going to show you my take on 3 different types of recipe. Oats are fantastic because they are naturally low in sugar. Now, I have a bit of a tendency to take on too much sugar, mainly in the form of biscuits. So I try and do whatever I can with the rest of my diet to try and keep that sugar level low, and oats are a really good way of doing that. So the ingredients I've got here are generally low in sugar and will help me to keep my sugar balance fairly low. So the first recipe is overnight oats. So for overnight oats, we're going to need our oats, we're going to need some almond milk, and I'm also going to put in some protein powder as well. Now there's a few other bits and pieces that we'll put in as well. As I said, I'll put all the nutrition information up, and you can decide if you want to include things, leave things out. You can tweak it as you want to, but this is a recipe that I found that works well for me. Now, when you're making recipes for the first time, you are going to use some scales probably to weigh out your ingredients. One thing I found that's really useful is to try and find something which holds the weight of the ingredient that you're putting in. So in this case, I've got this very, very simple terracotta cup, which I know weighs the right amount of oats and almond milk that I need to put into my overnight oats. So I use this quite frequently. I'm not sure what I'll do if I lose this, but it's pretty useful. So the first thing I'm going to do is just to weigh out my oats. I'm going to try to chuck them everywhere. So the first thing I'm going to do is to weigh out my oats into my little terracotta pot. So I'm going to do that carefully. Pretty much there, a level amount of oats. So these are going to go into a pot. You'll need a pot which has got a lid. Some people use glass jars if they're cool. I've just got a very basic plastic one. So that's going to go in there. And then I'm going to then measure out exactly the same amount of almond milk. So up to the same level. So I'm using an equal quantity. Now obviously, if you're hungry, you might want to make more. If you're not, you might want to make less. This is the quantities that I use. Now before I put that almond milk in, I'm going to get a scoop of this protein powder. So this is one that I've kind of settled on that I quite like. It's PhD Diet Whey. It's got, for every scoop you put in, you get about 20 grams worth of protein. So you get a decent hit of protein there. Normally you'd make this up you normally put it into a blender, or you put it into a shaker. But actually I found that it mixes pretty well actually. So I can do it with just a spoon in here. So I'm going to put this in here, just 1 scoop. So I've got my dry ingredients in there now. I'm going to give it a little shake, just to kind of give it a bit of a mix up. Okay, now I've done that, I can then just put my almond milk straight in. Need a spoon. One spoon, and I'm just going to give it a really good mix. Now, it really does need a good mix here. You need to make sure that if there are any lumps of protein powder, you want to be getting rid of those. So you just want it really, it's a good mix. But as I said, this protein powder I found has been pretty good at actually mixing quite well without any lumps. If you're a bit concerned about it, you could always pre-mix your protein powder and almond milk together in a NutriBullet or a blender or something, and then put it into the oats afterwards. But this I'm just doing for a bit of speed. So I think that's pretty well mixed up now. So it's a not too bad a consistency. It's sort of, it looks, well, probably a bit like lumpy wallpaper paste, but I can assure you it tastes a lot better than that. Now I've done that, I'm going to put in a couple of teaspoons, one each, of pumpkin seeds and sunflower seeds. So like I said before, these are low in sugar. They are quite high in fat, but as I understand with the various natural things, you know, it's good fat. You get good fats and bad fats, good sugars and bad sugars. If it's natural, it generally tends to be the good variety. Need a spoon. So we're just going to measure out 1 teaspoon of sunflower seeds and 1 teaspoon of pumpkin seeds. So we've got those in there. Going to give them a really good stir as well. And that's it. Pretty good already. So the lid goes on, and then we put that in the fridge. As I said, that can go in there overnight, make it nice and cold. If it is a little liquidy, it means that the oats have time to soak up all that liquid. So it's good to go overnight if you want to have it first thing in the morning. If you're not the sort of person that has breakfast immediately as soon as they wake up, you can quite easily make this in the morning, put it in the fridge, wait a couple of hours, and then it will be good to go. So let's put that in the fridge and then we'll come back to that later. So the next recipe I have is basic porridge. So I wanted to have porridge every day. It's really great when it's cold, but it's not easy if you're trying to make this at work. This is something you can make at work, and it's really, really easy to do because it just needs a microwave. So the instructions on the packet always say about putting it on a hob and letting it just, you know, simmer away over a few minutes. Haven't got time for that, don't have a hob to use. You can do this all in a microwave and it's really, really simple to do. So, need a bowl. 1 bowl. Same again, so I'm actually going to use the same quantity of oats as I used for my overnight oats. So, I'm going to put this in here, put it over the bowl just to try and capture any oats that do come out. Okay, so I've got, again, the same amount of oats as I had last time. So that's going in the bowl. The next thing I want to do is put water in. So I'm using water. What I've found is that these particular oats, these are jumbo oats, and they're great at making the consistency of the porridge a lot more, give it a greater texture, make it quite creamy. And actually I found that I haven't needed to use milk, so that's a really, really good way of keeping those sugars down as well. So I'm just using oats which are low in sugar, water, 0 sugar. So already my basic porridge is going to have no sugar in it whatsoever pretty much. So I'm going to get some water. I'm actually going to put in, I've got another level of porridge. So I'm going to pop that in there, but I'm actually going to also put in another, just extra little bit. So you want just a little bit more, not too much. Depends on the consistency that you like of porridge. I like mine, you know, I don't want to like it too runny, because if it becomes too runny, especially with water, it will actually taste watery. So I want to make sure that I don't put in loads, but I'm going to need a little bit more because the oats will soak it up more when you have heated up the oats. So I've also got that. I've got some cinnamon, so I'm just going to put in like a sprinkle of cinnamon. It's not a teaspoonful, it's probably half a teaspoonful, but I'm just going to put some cinnamon over the top because I like cinnamon. Okay, give that a good shake in. Okay, and that is now going to go in the microwave. I've got a 800 watt microwave, so give you an idea of the amount of time. That's going to go in there for 1.5 minutes. So that's been in the microwave for 1.5 minutes, and hopefully you can see that it's a pretty nice consistency. It's not stodgy, it's not too runny, it's pretty creamy, and you've got that wonderful cinnamon flavour as well. So that's really nice. So you can have it just like that if you want to, but if you've got your pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, a banana I often like putting in. I'd recommend, if you are going to put banana in, don't put it in before you cook it, because it just makes it hot banana, which hot bananas are quite nice, but I find not in porridge. So it's actually quite nice to have it a bit cold. If you want, you can put in a teaspoon or two of honey, which is what I'm going to do now. It does give it that sugar, as I said, so I'm trying to avoid the sugar, but if you just want to put in just a teaspoon of honey, just to add a little bit of extra sweetness to the porridge, just add to that flavour, you can do that as well. So I'm going to grab a knife, I'm going to put a banana in there as well. Okay. Pretty healthy porridge, which I'm going to go and enjoy now. I'll be back in a minute and I'll show you how to make granola flapjacks. See ya. Great porridge that. So the last one I'm going to show you is the granola bars. So I will give you all the quantities and everything, nutrition information, as I said, afterwards, but I'll show you how you make them first. So I've got a bowl. In there I've put oats and a couple of scoops of the protein powder. After that, I've now got some peanut butter to add in, which I've already measured out. The peanut butter I'm using is this one. It's a smooth peanut butter. You don't want the crunchy one, because the crunchy one's not going to mix quite as well. So the smooth one is much better. This one also has no palm oil in it either, so really good as well. So I'm going to put that into my dry mix like that. Make sure you get all of it in there. So that's the peanut butter in. I've also got some almond milk. So the almond milk's going to go in there as well. And I've also got a bit of honey as well. The honey, I haven't put too much in there to try and keep the sugars down, as I said. But I'm going to put a little bit of honey in there, it helps to bind it all together, because otherwise the oats will fall apart. So after that, it's now a question of just giving it a really good mix. So let's get that done. It's going to be quite hard to do because it's not a lot of liquid in there, but we need to just give it, it's going to be quite a good arm workout. Okay, once the mix is done, you should find that it's, it looks sort of, it's going to be a bit dough-like, but it should be holding together. The oats shouldn't be falling apart. I was using those jumbo oats again, and those jumbo oats are pretty good. I really like them. You may find that blitzing them in a blender first of all to make them a little bit smaller may help, but actually I've found that jumbo oats again are pretty good. So what I'm going to do with these now is I'm going to transfer this into a baking dish, and it's going to go in the oven for 20 minutes. So I decided right at the very last minute that I would change this up, and I actually am using a round tin. You can see it's well pressed in there, so it's not coming out anytime soon. So that's going to go now. I've used a bit of baking paper on the bottom as well. So that's now going to go into the oven. Got it about 180 for 20 minutes. Good idea to keep an eye on it though, just to make sure it doesn't burn, but 20 minutes should do you. Done. See you in 20. So the granola bars are finished baking now, and they've been sitting on the side, cooling. So they're good enough to handle now. So I'm going to cut them up into individual pieces. Having it on this grease-proof paper really helps, because you can see that it's going to come away from the base quite easily. If you don't use grease-proof paper, you may find they get stuck. So that's come out really easily. So hopefully you can see these are pretty chewy. So hope you enjoyed those videos. Give those 3 recipes a go, and if you make them, if you make any amendments, find some interesting stuff, let me know in the comments down below, and I'll see you for the next video. Take care now. Bye for now.